Hi, I'm Ginny Robertson, founder of the On Purpose Woman Global Community and founder and publisher of On Purpose Woman magazine. This is the speaker portion of our Connections After Hours gathering of the On Purpose Woman Global Community. It's February 14th, and a lot of people are thinking about the love of a significant other, or maybe the lack of a significant other. And I invited three women to be with me tonight to talk about what I believe is the most significant relationship we have, and that is the one we have with ourselves. So tonight we're talking about self-love. So welcome Lilia, Shoshanna Ray, Karen Tasto, and Tamara Robinson. Thanks for being with me, y'all. Okay, so I'd love to first start with each of you telling a little bit about yourselves and also how this idea of self-love kind of runs through your work, because I believe it does, or you wouldn't have said yes to this invitation. I'm going to start with you, Lilia, and then I'll go to Karen and then Tamara.
Okay, so I am a Live Your Brilliance mentor, and I help intuitives, healers, creatives, anyone who has a vision for their life to clear any blocks that are in the way so they can shine their light brightly and share their gifts widely. That's what I call living your brilliance. And so definitely self-love is critical in order for us to shine our lights and share our gifts. And I know for myself that I need to spend the time to get to that place that I'm clearing anything out that's preventing me to fully loving myself. And it happens. So things come up in life and kind of lose your way a little bit, or but it's so important to do the work that you can get back to that and shine your light brightly.
Thank you, Lilia. Appreciate that. Karen.
Hi, I'm Karen of Open Heart Healing, and I help women reconnect and reclaim all the parts of who they are, of who they truly are. I am a certified life coach, so I offer one-on-one private coaching and also sacred circles where, well, in all my space, I'm really nurturing the self love, a way of where women really come to a place of embracing themselves and all of themselves.
Thank you, Karen. Tamara.
Hi, I am Tamara, and I am a pleasure, intimacy, love, and healing coach. And I help singles and couples rekindle pleasure and intimacy and passion in their lives by helping them and encouraging them on the journey of self-discovery and fulfillment. And the way that self-love shows up in the work that I do is just like basically just like Jenny said, is I truly do believe that the best relationship you have is the one you have with yourself. So even though I am a relationship coach, or I do coach in the area of relationships, the relationship that I mainly focus on with my clients is the relationship with themselves and creating the self-love for themselves first in order to take that into a relationship.
Thank you. Don't we have a brilliant panel here tonight? Zoomers, thank you. I want to, I guess what I'd like to ask each of you, and I'm going to start with you, Karen, then Tamara, then Lilia, is what does self-love mean to you? What does it look like when you know that you're loving yourself?
I know when I'm loving myself, when I actually am kind of stepping back from all the to-do list and my pusher self and actually even welcoming and being with my pusher self. So really embracing, welcoming, nurturing all aspects of me. I'm not rejecting some part of me, especially when emotions come up. So I know I'm loving myself when I just let my emotions express and be felt in the moment, not pushing them away. I also know I'm loving myself when I'm honoring, I'm really big about, and I help my women really honor themselves And one aspect of that is honoring the cycles, the rhythms, the seasons that they're in. So especially, our inner winters when those come. So I've just been in a very, quite a long inner winter. And so, yeah, so I just really allowed that for myself, out of an act of self love, and nurtured myself in that, allowed, even befriending that, and those parts of me that needed and still need to be kind of held, given space. So yeah, to me, that's really how I experience it.
It sounds like you're saying, if I'm interpreting this correctly, Karen, the word I would bring it down to is like a gentleness with yourself.
There, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Gentleness.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I can feel that. Do you all feel that? It's like, oh, it feels so good.
It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so gentle.
Yeah.
Mm.
Tamara, what do you have?
I know that I am loving myself, or I'm in the space of self-love when I'm appreciating myself and I'm accepting of myself, because I spent so much time and so many years in the past not appreciating myself and putting others ahead of myself, or others' needs ahead of myself. And so when I'm truly in the moment and taking the time to appreciate who I am and where I am and what I'm doing in that moment, then I really know that I'm experiencing self-love. And also having compassion, just like being gentle, having compassion with myself, and creating and making time for the activities, or even the people that bring me joy and fulfillment, and just doing things that bring me pleasure, because I'm all about pleasure. So I'm a pleasure coach. So I'm all about bringing pleasure into my life. So,
Great.
so yeah, that's how I know I'm experiencing self-love.
So you're walking the talk, huh, Tamara?
Exactly.
Thank you for that. Lilia, what do you want to add?
I think it's a similar kind of thing, but I have really come to know how important it is to become present to ourselves. And so just allowing the time to notice what's going on within and what we're feeling, what we're sensing, what we want. And I find that if I don't take that time, I'm just working on habit and, whatever I've done before, and I'm not paying attention to what I want or what I'm feeling. And I become aware of how much I stuff my feelings. So, and being present to myself, it's really getting in touch with what's going on and how I can take care of myself better. And so um, it's all on a theme of what
Mm,
Tamara and Karen have said, but
yeah.
it's just another way of looking at it.
And so, Lilia, when we're present to ourselves, we also, that's where the awareness comes in of what might be off a bit, right? Might be like, what's this emotion about? Otherwise, I love what you said about, we just do habitual thinking. We just do
Mhm.
the thing that we always did that wasn't working, but we don't know it wasn't working until we know it wasn't working. And so I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it sounds like when we're just like following the shoulds, or what culture, is telling us, like the time of year or what. Yeah. And there's a listening, I would
Mhm.
want to add to that, what you said, Lilia. Yeah. When we're present, we're
Yes.
listening. Yeah, I love that.
And see, what I think as women, what we're doing, regardless of our age or how long we've been doing it, is we're breaking a pattern for future generations of women who have those rules that said, this is how you be woman. This is how you do it. This is what you're supposed to act, how you're supposed to be. And I think so many of us have broken those rules for some time. But I think there's a cultural thing still, we're still not there yet. And so I think the more we can talk about this in open forums and really talk about that, self love is not selfish, right? It's, in fact, it actually is selfish. I'm going to say it is selfish, but selfish is a good thing. Selfish is a good thing. I like to recontext that. So let's see. Tamara, what has been your experience with self-love? Have you always loved yourself?
No. Short answer, no. I spent a lot of time, really honestly, I spent a lot of time hating myself. And I don't like
Mhm.
using that word, but I can't even begin to tell you how long I hated myself. And I would even go back. It started to, in my childhood and being bullied, from friends in school, even though I had support from family and my parents and growing up, but just bully children, sometimes children can be really mean, and then, I experienced verbal abuse in my marriage and dealing with that, and then going through the process of divorce. I just really did not like myself. And I can remember there was a moment where I was looking in the mirror one day. This was after the divorce, and I was getting into the role of being a single mother, and I just didn't recognize myself anymore. And I knew that somewhere in my eyes, I was looking at myself in the mirror, and I knew that there was love for myself. I just didn't know how to find it. And I just started the process. I had to get a coach and a mentor and a life coach, but it was a journey. It was definitely a journey, and there was so much that I had to unlearn. That I guess the words of other people, I had taken them on as truth for myself, and there was so much that I had to unpack and let go of and release in order to find the love within myself that was always there. I just wasn't paying attention to it.
Ah, thank you. Thank you for your transparency in that, because I think it's so easy, when we do go into comparison mode, right? Could anybody look at someone like Tamara and go, well, she's always had it. I'm sure she's always had it together. She's just always been this, you know, self-love guru type out there. And I love that you have the courage to say, no, I actually hated myself.
Mhm,
Because how many people, I think the majority of people at some point, of women, let me at least say that, have experienced that
mhm,
at some stage in their life. And so we're not going to leave people with this like other side of it. We're going to bring us back out of that. But I want to hear from, let's see, who's up next? I think it's you, Lilia, right? Yes, Lilia. Have you always loved yourself?
Well, no. And I I have I was like about 10 years ago. So, I had a few decades on me that I became aware of not only how much, more I could love myself, but people that I respected, who I would look up, like you were talking about with Tamara. We would say, like, she looks, like she has never had an issue with it. But um, this really great friend of mine asked me, she said, Lilia, do you know anybody who truly loves themselves? And I kind of looked at her funny because I thought surely she did. But she was getting in touch with how much more room there was to grow with that. And so I have been paying attention and seeing those places where I don't value myself. I'm holding myself back. I think that's, evidence of not having full self-love, and growing into it, because it's so important.
Thank you for that. And I'd love for a show of hands, those of you who are here with us on Zoom and the panelists too. How many of you had a model of a mother or a mother figure who modeled self-love? Anyone?
You mean growing up?
Growing up, yes.
mhm,
Yes. Wow, not one person. So is it any wonder that it was difficult and that we had no model for it? We had no rules for it. We had the other rules that would make us good women, good people, but self-love, that was considered. I remember my mother telling me at a certain age to stop bragging, to stop telling people I was good at something, because it would make someone who wasn't good at something feel bad.
Yeah,
And I
don't
remember
don't
even
be
as
so
a,
full of yourself, right?
yeah, I remember
right.
thinking, why does she care about other people's feelings more than mine? Because I was proud. I wanted to tell people I did something, and just stop bragging, stop doing that, stop showing off, stop. And so I
Mhm,
think a lot of us got shut down from that. What's that age that we're just full of ourselves, and somewhere around, I remember the book Reviving Ophelia. somewhere around the ages of, I think mine started around 7 or 8, but usually by 10 or 11, so many young girls have just shut down when they realize that there's somebody who's smarter and somebody who's cuter, and there's just somebody else out there, and they start to lose their light. Because we had it coming in, didn't we?
Mhm. Yes. Yeah.
Karen, what's your self-love story?
It definitely has been a journey, and that only started 12 years ago. Time up till then of really being people pleasing, and so dishonoring myself. I didn't have that really harsh inner voice, that some others in my life have. So I know that that exists. I didn't have that, but I really pushed away myself, suppressed myself in big ways.
Mhm.
And it was just, 12 years ago, it seems like a lifetime ago, where I got like that wake up. But it, of course, wasn't a once and done thing. And so it's definitely has been layer by layer, veil after veil removed. It was stepping into a circle space of with the facilitator, my mentor, who was a model of loving herself.
Mhm.
And it was being in her presence and witnessing her over time that that I am where I am. And
Oh,
so,
thank you for that.
yeah.
And we can all be models. We can be the models that we didn't have for other women.
Mhm.
Everybody in this room can be a model for that, and to let other women know that it's like, not only is it's critical, there's another word I can't even think of right now. It's a have to. It's a must. It's a must do, I think, is where I'm coming from. Karen, I'm going to go back to you because I don't think you've got to answer a question first yet. So let's keep on that line. And what changed? What shifted? You mentioned a mentor,
Yeah.
but what was the catalyst or major shift that supported you in loving yourself more?
I think what I put my finger on with this is that, and it's a quote, the day came when the pain to remain too tight in the bud was more painful than something about more painful than the risk to blossom. It's like I eventually came to that place of, yeah, it's too painful to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what did you do once you realized that? Do you remember what the next step was, or?
I sought out one-on-one support.
Okay.
Yeah. I was carrying so much on my own and holding it in, the suppressing, I thought I was raised that you have to, you figure it out yourself, keep it secret. So a lot of shame
Mm.
I was holding onto. And it was, yeah, getting my support system in place. And that has, I've nurtured that, and it's been fostered and built over the years. Um, yeah, I don't know. It definitely, like, without support, I don't know that I can do it. I don't know who can.
Yeah, I agree, because we don't know what we don't know.
Right,
Even. I mean, you might know that, wow,
right.
I think I could be better at this. I think, but then what?
Yeah,
Right? Just
yeah,
flopping around.
yeah. So true. Yeah.
Lilia, what was a catalyst for you, or a major shift that happened?
Well, what comes up for me is, when I got to my lowest point, was at the end of my marriage. And during that 10 years, I had given up so much of myself, given up friends, given up anything that, I liked doing. It was all about what he wanted to do. And uh, I got to a place I had nothing else to give. And I saw my way to leave that and just started recreating my life from that point and seeing, wait a minute, I have a voice here for my life. I don't have to totally negate myself. So I really feel like that was the beginning, and just starting on a path. At that point, I hadn't had my angel intervention, but I was learning about myself and growing from that, and in learning, then bringing the self-love forward, and just step by step, layer by layer, veil by veil. Yeah, continuing to do that.
2 steps forward, 3 steps back for a bit,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So it sounds like both Karen and Lilia had like it was a low point, right? I think we have to hit those low points
Mhm.
and know that there's, the place where we feel like, rock bottom's different for everyone. But when we hit, I know when I hit what I felt was my rock bottom, it didn't look like somebody else's, but it was like I didn't see anywhere else to go but to start back up again. Was that your experience, Tamara? What went on for you?
That's similar. That was definitely an experience that I had, and I was thinking of it of a actual point, um, uh, and I believe it was I can remember that I couldn't pray, that couldn't even find the words to pray. There was nothing. There was no meditation. There was nothing, like that was just the low point for me. And I remember one day my prayer was just what? That
Mm,
was my prayer. And because I did not know, I felt like I had community. And the thing, the crazy thing is that I've always had community of some type, but it was me. I needed to love myself first in order to dig myself out of that low place. And so it's interesting praying that prayer, that what prayer. I say it's a prayer because that's what it was at the time, but saying that out loud and just waiting for the answer and just meditating on that. um I believe that began the process of getting out of that low point, that low place, where I started to reconnect to myself all over again. And similar to what Lilia said, I had to release myself from the title of wife and the fact that I had lost myself in that relationship, and I had to find my own voice again. And that began the process.
mhm. Wow. My mind just went totally blank. I was going to say something quite brilliant, I'm sure. It had to do with, these low points. And oh, you mentioned being in community. And I don't know about the rest of our panel here, but when I was going through a divorce, I mean, I had lots of people around me that I could talk to about, isn't this awful? Or do you know what he did now? And all this stuff. I didn't have anybody I thought I could talk to about how I was really feeling about myself and the low points that I actually hit. And so, that community can sometimes be quite superficial. And what I realized is I was ashamed. I was ashamed that I wasn't more together. I was ashamed that I couldn't figure some things out for myself. And I didn't want anybody else to know that because, I played a good game. I looked good. I got things done. I was a star in my career. Yeah, Ginny, she's yeah. And that we get that. I don't know if anybody else had an experience where you had expectations from other people that said, well, you're not supposed to act like that. You're supposed to always be this. Anybody want to say anything about that, or does it resonate with any of you?
Yeah, I would say that the community was there for support, but and I probably could have told them how I felt, but I didn't. The only person that I felt like I could talk that way with was my therapist. I had to just go to therapy for it. But the community was, you won't believe what he did and you won't believe what he said and that kind of thing. And they were very supportive, but there was a part of me that still, even with what I did share, there was a part that I felt shame around it because they were my friends. They were my friends of the community. But definitely with therapy, that was when I was able to just unload and really talk about what I was experiencing and what I was feeling.
Yeah, that was my experience as well, was therapy. Because there's friends who you can just tell all the yucky facts that went on, or interpretation of the facts. That's nice until it isn't, and you realize that's all we have going on here is this moaning about, ain't it awful, you know? Either Lilia or Karen want to weigh in on that?
Well, Karen, you want to go?
Go ahead. Go ahead. You.
Okay. I am so thankful that I had a therapist at the time because I had given up on my friends, so I didn't have community.
Mhm.
And going through that really tough time, it's good to have a safe place to share the deep thing and really get clear on the way forward.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, so I'll chime in too. Yes, my journey started with a therapist, and and then that led to finding just really supportive spaces, containers with others where I could space where I could share my story and just be heard, sacred with witnessed. And so that was a big turning point, like the first time I sat in space like that and really felt like seen and heard, and it it really woke something up in me. Um, yeah, to feel seen led me to help me to see myself.
Thank you. As we wrap up here, I'd love to go around and have each of you give us one sentence that is a piece of wisdom that could support a woman looking to enhance her relationship with herself. What do you have, Tamara?
Oh, one sentence. Well, I would just say be gentle with yourself and start by showing yourself compassion.
Thank you. Lilia.
I would say ask yourself who you really are and get in touch with your essential nature. You're going to come to know yourself as love and light, and then it'll be so much easier for the self-love.
That's delicious. Karen.
I would say that no matter what shows up for you, to tell that part of you or that voice that it or that emotion that it belongs here.
Mm.
You and even say you belong here. You belong here.
Well, that's so important because it's so easy to push those down and say, why is that happening to me? I don't want to feel this way. And it doesn't go away, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So thank you. Oh gosh, ladies, thank you, Tamara, Lilia, and Karen for sharing your wisdom and your big old hearts with us on Valentine's night. And I'd like everybody here with us on Zoom to unmute yourself so we can applaud our panel. And panel, you can applaud each other and yourself as well for doing such a great job. So unmute so we can hear you. Woo! Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And I want to thank anyone who's watching this live in the On Purpose Woman Global Community Facebook group or the replay on Zoom. If you want to join us for one of our Zoom or in-person gatherings, go to my website, opwgc.com, where you can find out all about the community and the magazine. And that link is also in the text of this video. Thanks for watching. Bye, y'all.